that's noted in red, the changes. On that same 3250 in the administrative procedure, which is page 3 of 3, line 13, replacing the word shared with participatory in front of governance. And I know that we have another one in the sequence, 3280 grants, but I'm going to come back to that one. Next, I'm going to go on to 3310, records retention and destruction. And you have a sheet, page 2 of 3, line 31, to include the word of between the Assistant Vice Chancellor of Information Technology. So those were the recommended revisions. And then I want to go back to 3280 grants. And we had discussion in the ad hoc committee regarding grants and how often the board is made aware of grants. You have an annual presentation by staff with regard to grant awards. And so there was interest in maybe having information in a more regular basis. And so we tossed around some ideas, quarterly, monthly, and so we wanted to bring that to the board for a full discussion and talk about receiving information about grants more often than once a year.
I recommended that the board discuss this because I remember back when all grants had to come to the board for approval before we would apply for them. And Connie can go through some procedures that have been established that may make that unnecessary, but I think it's too long to wait a year to find out what we've applied for. And many times this past couple of years, I'll hear an announcement, oh, we got this grant. Well, great, I didn't even know we were trying to get it. So I just think the board needs to be better informed about the grants. It could be just an information item. Connie had a great idea, I think, depending on how the rest of the board feels, is that list grant application information in the consent agenda the same way we list gifts that are coming to the district. And it will inform us. We won't be required to take action, but I don't like waiting a year. I'd like to know each month that an application has been made.
So I did go back and talk with staff about that idea of monthly, and what came back to me was quarterly is probably the better timeline for that, and it's because not necessarily we'll have grant awards within the month, and so probably a better collection of them would be quarterly to put that together.
Do you want funded grants or just anything written?
I'd like to know what we're applying for and how much the grant is. I'd like to know if it has matching funds required. And then, if we get it, I'd like to know that this grant that we applied for on this date was granted and we got, all this money.
If you just want it listed, that's no problem.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would caution is sometimes grants have a really, really tight timeline, and we hear about them, and there's only a 2 or 3 week turnaround time. So, if we had to wait every month for approval, there could be opportunities missed.
No, we were saying we're not asking for approval.
Right. But I'm just saying, as long as you're not asking for approval, just listing them and putting them on, that would be a really easy thing to do.
I'd prefer monthly, and if there's nothing to report, there's nothing to report.
I think it's a regional request.
It wouldn't be a problem as long as we didn't, as long as, like I said, you didn't have to have them approved. Otherwise, it would get problematic and you could miss opportunities.
It used to take board approval, and then they went away, but explanation was never given to the board about this. And Connie, in the Policy and Procedure Committee, made a very cogent argument about the logistics and the timing, and if we only meet once a month, we don't want to lose out potentially on a grant. So I think that makes great understanding. And there are Connie made a good case about fairly strict guidelines. We don't apply just for anything. It has to fit this. So it sounded like it's well taken care of, but I want to know what we're applying for. So let's try it monthly. If there's nothing to report, that's fine. And if there comes a problem with the grant people, then talk to us. You know, tell us why it's a problem.
So what I also need to ask here is then, shall I come back to the board next month in our second reading of policy? I'm not sure that there's any policy change that needs to occur, but I can think about some language and just maybe write something that says more timely or something. Mm-hmm.
It could be written as a procedure, not a policy, because we do that. We write a procedure to go with the county.
Okay.
I'll help you with that.
So I'll bring that back in the second reading.
Okay. Any more comments on the policies, procedures?
If I could pop in so we're
Yes.
not surprised in January, because it's partly our area and then the colleges will coordinate this. But the board agenda items for the January board meeting are due tomorrow. Okay. So don't be surprised. We won't have it in January.
That's fine.
That'll give us a month to gear up and try to figure out how to pull that information together.
That sounds fine.
Good point.
Okay, well, Connie, thank you so much. And I do want to mention to the board that we will need one board member to join the Policy and Procedure Committee. Lynn and I are on that. And we will need one board member to join the Finance Committee that Don and Abe are on. So if you have interest, you might let me know about that at some time. All right, let's go to amend. Oh. Okay, thank you.
First read? Sorry. So their first read, Jane.
It's a first reading.
Okay. All right, then let's go to the amended general fund budget.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, for our new board members, we are required in community colleges to bring a tentative budget to the Board of Trustees in June, every June. And then in September, we bring the final adopted budget to the board for your approval. During the year, if there are changes to the budget that are significant that we need to change materially line items, we'll bring that to you as well. And normally when we're bringing the tentative for the subsequent year, we're also amending the current year. This is a bit different tonight because we had some additional revenue come from the state, and actually on the budget document, it was $15,000 for our baccalaureate program. And while that isn't significant to the overall general fund budget, it's very significant to the baccalaureate program, which is a new program. And so we wanted to get that revenue and expenditure in the budget because it's for marketing for the baccalaureate program. In addition to that, so we added the revenue and then we added the expenditure for Modesto Junior College. And then we had carryover money from the prior year over and above the 10% designated reserve, designated by the board for our reserve. And so in central services, we got together, and again, I'd like to thank and applaud Dan. He recognized several priorities that since we had one-time dollars, we could put that money into more important needs that we haven't been able to fund in the past. In addition to 4 or 5 IT projects, we are buying 2 security vehicles, one for Columbia College and one for Modesto Junior College. And then I believe, we put, also we had a review done, John Black, our facilities folks, risk management, made a review of the district overall, and I believe some of the boards saw some of the priorities where we felt we needed to begin funding to make corrections, whether that be in lighting or communication. And while it wasn't a lot of money that we put in towards that project, we were able to fund some of the projects that the group came up with. And they did collaborate. I thought it was an excellent group effort and team effort, bringing the safety folks, the risk managers, facilities together to identify needs. So what we're asking you to approve tonight is an increase, again, in the MJC expenditures and overall revenue of $15,000, and then an increase of $529,000 to fund one-time expenditures that were identified and prioritized.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended budget as presented here this evening.
Second.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved by Darren Garrett and seconded by Abe Rojas that the board adopt the recommendation regarding, I'm in the wrong place. No, yeah, regarding no, I think I've got the audit report thing. All right, the motion that was made by Darren, okay, it's at the top of the page, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say no. Motion has carried. Okay, so now we're down to the review of the Chancellor Search Committee schedule. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. All right. In your packets, you will see a proposed timeline for our Chancellor search. I have I have some concerns that I think that since we have 3 new board members, they ought to have the opportunity to look at what the brochure is. What are we looking for in a chancellor? And so I think they ought to have that opportunity. Hopefully, you know, what we have can be approved or just slightly worked. But I kind of feel that way. But how do the new trustees feel?
Chair DeMartini, if I could just point out, on January 11th will be the opportunity for the Board of Trustees to appoint the members of the screening committee and approve the position announcement. So we'll be circulating that for the review and feedback so that everybody will have an opportunity to add their thoughts to that particular position announcement.
Okay, and what day of the week? Is that a regular board meeting on that?
That's already the board meeting, yeah.
Okay, so
I'll have Lucy send you all the draft tomorrow. And that'll give you almost a full month to review that.
Okay, and that'll be in this room?
Yes,
meeting?
that would be done in an open session. Unless, of course, you'd like Fran to come back and do a study session on that like we did the last time. And then you can spend some really focused time on changing some of the words and the language.
Is it possible at that meeting on January 11th, if we go ahead with appointing the screening committee and the position, that we could make any adjustments to the schedule?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So there is some flexibility worked into this.
There is, so I will speak from HR's perspective. There is flexibility worked into this. I can't speak for your consultant schedule. She provided this based on some of her availability as well, but I wanted to just point out that we were really endeavoring to have the community forums and the interviews and make the candidates available to the campus before graduation. We did not want to have a process which stretched on into May or June and did not give all of our faculty, staff, and students an adequate opportunity to attend the forums. And you know, conducting business in the summer, it leaves a whole sector of your constituency out of that process.
Okay. Would someone like to move that we approve this timeline with the understanding that changes may be made later?
So move.
Okay, thank you, John. John Rodriguez moved it. It was seconded by Abe Rojas. Thank you. So all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Okay, the motion has carried.
Chair DeMartini, if I could just clarify, would you like a study session to revise the brochure? Because with the holidays coming, I would need to contact Fran tomorrow and get something scheduled for you all prior to the 11th.
Was Fran going to be here on the 11th?
Yes.
I don't know other people's opinions. It might be best to schedule this for 3:30 as opposed to something after 5:30, or schedule it for 2:30.
You could
2:30.
do 2:30 or 2 and then go into closed session. We've done that.
I tend to think that might be more satisfactory results. But how does that sound to the rest
That
of
sounds a lot more efficient.
Okay, so like 2 o'clock would be your suggestion? Does that sound okay?
That's reasonable.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll direct Fran to be here at 2 o'clock on the 11th, and you can bring all of your suggestions for edits to the brochure.
That would be great. Thank you. I believe we're up to comments from the board. And before we do that, I know much has been said tonight to welcome the new board members, and some has been said about thanking those board members that you are used to seeing that are not here tonight. And we welcome the new, but we certainly appreciate all of the service and time and dedication that came from our other board members that are no longer serving. Last month, Siegfried read a statement from Mike Riley regarding his time on the board, and I have been given a statement to read from Linda Flores. So I'd like to do that right now. And she calls it her farewell statement. To my friends of the YCCD community, I send apologies for lack of my presence this evening. I had hoped to be here to welcome the new board members and to say farewell to all of you, this wonderful educational community, for having enriched my life and the life of so many others. Unfortunately, due to a most personal loss, I have found it most difficult to be present this evening. As you may imagine, my family and I are working through this most trying of times. Nonetheless, I state that my 4 terms have been an exhilarating, informative, and enriching experience. I thank you all for your dedication to students first. I hope to find another place in which to continue community service, whether it be with YCCD or in the general Modesto community. Good luck to the new board, and thank you all for the good work you do. Yours truly, Linda Flores. So, and Joan has a little more information. Thank you for reminding me.
Linda has sent us notification, and I'll send this out as a YCCD all users, that services for her daughter will be held this Friday, at the Church of the Brethren located at 2301 Woodland Avenue in Modesto, beginning at 12:30 p.m., and then a reception will follow afterwards. So there'll be more information on that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's begin with comments from the board. I'll start this end and we'll then move to this side. Yeah. Okay, Abe, you get to go first.
Oh, I have it on. I attended the Modesto Junior College Art Gallery reception for a local artist that had his opening ceremony, I guess you might call it. Then I also had attended the YCCD audit review, the VIP JPA meeting, and a special meeting that was called for by the district. I also attended the MJC Nurse Assistance Program, pinning, and that was quite an emotional state there for the parents. And I attended the agenda review, and that's it.
Thanks, Abe. Don?
I do not have a report. I've been this month. Did you hear me? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Thanks. Go ahead, please. Lynn?
I attended the agenda meeting on Monday, attended the policy and procedures meeting, a special board meeting for the interim chancellor interviews, met with the Columbia College president, and I attended the retirement and going away party for Joan and meeting the new trustees. You did that too. Yeah, so he did. Yeah, I'm looking out for him.
Okay, thank you. Siegfried, why don't you let us know what you've been up to?
As a matter of fact, my report seems to have just disappeared, but I have attended 2 ASMJC meetings. One was on the 18th, I believe, and one was just last Friday. I attended the special meeting last Wednesday. I also attended Cram Night, which was last Thursday. I attended the District Council, which I believe was on the 16th. the choir concert also on the 9th, last Friday. And then I may be missing something, but that's all I have for now.
Well, how are your finals going?
They're going well. I managed to get another grade up in chemistry, which I wasn't anticipating, but I'm very happy about. And then I have one more final to go. So that'll be tomorrow, and I'm feeling good about it. So.
Great. Good luck. Before we move to the new trustees who really started officially today, your list, I know you all attended a meeting last week, but I would appreciate it, you don't have to, but I would appreciate it if you would take some of your time and introduce yourself to the audience. Tell them some things about you, what you do, your connections with MJC, or what some of your goals are, or whatever you feel comfortable with. And then maybe you'll say something so that when we have our little reception afterward, people say, hey, you know, it'll give them a little reason to come ask you questions. So John, let's start with you, please.
Well, I'm John Rodriguez, one of the new trustees. I was born and raised in Modesto. I went to St. Stan's, Central Catholic, and MJC. And I'm a farmer, and I'm glad to be on this board because MJC certainly means a lot to me. This is where my parents actually graduated from, who are in the audience today, and they both met here. So it's kind of a family tradition. It's kind of funny being on the board now. And
John, make your parents wave.
Oh, wave.
Welcome. Okay. Great. Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to working with you all.
Thank you. Before Leslie Beggs goes, I do something that really annoys her, but it is extremely rare that any candidate wins over 80% of the vote. So next we'll hear from Landslide Leslie.
Oh, gee. Am I on? I'm on. Okay. So I was born in Oakland, but raised in Modesto. I went to Sherwood, Somerset, Bayer, MJC. And MJC, I had the same math teacher my dad had, Henry Osner. So I go back to the dark ages. But I loved it here. It was a great 2 years. But I have to tell you that I didn't get my AA degree while I was here. I was planning to transfer. I was a dance major then, believe it or not. I'm going to go to Berkeley. But anyway, so I didn't get the AA degree because you had to take a public speaking class then to get an AA degree. And I'd rather rip out my toenails than be in front of people and speak. So don't ever let anybody tell you that God doesn't have a sense of humor, because he does. But anyway, I'm here and I'm really glad. And I've taught here. I met my husband at Clemson University. We have 3 boys and 1 grandchild. And 2 of them live in Modesto, and 1's down in LA. And they're great. Most of them have gone here at some point in their educational careers, and 1 of them is still here. So, and my husband teaches in English since 1991. So anyway, I'm very happy to be here, and I love the direction we're taking.
Thank you. And now, last but not least, I guess I have to go to Darren Garrett.
Well, first of all, good evening to everybody, and I do want to take a moment to recognize Linda Flores' 16 years on this board. I mean, for somebody to spend 16 years of their life going to the meetings, reaching out to the internal community here at YCCD, we need to recognize that, and I want to publicly recognize her for her 16 years of service here tonight. And I wish she could be here, but she is going through a family crisis right now, and we want to send my condolences out to her and her family. Truly, this is an honor. This was something I was going to do 14 years ago, but my wife decided to get an illness, and I needed to take time off from work to dedicate my time to her, and luckily she's back to work, and she's going to be retiring next year, so that'll be good. You know, my background, I spent 26 and a half years at the Sheriff's Department, retired out as a chief of police services for one of our contract cities. I had a number of assignments within the Sheriff's Department. I won't bore you with all those here tonight, but my other involvement, I spent 12 years on the County Retirement Board. I got back on the board in June. I'm currently the vice chair of the County Retirement Board. I serve as the chair of the Juvenile Justice Commission. I sit as president of the board of a local foster advocacy group, CASA, who advocates on behalf of foster youth in court. So my purpose, my goal when I was out walking precincts and talking to people in my area is I really want to focus on career and technical education and provide those opportunities in all areas of the district, in all areas of discipline. I think it's important that we provide students with as much tools to success as we can, and I think CTE is part of that. And I look forward to having relationships with everybody. I think relationships are important. And Curtis, thank you for your comments. I heard them loud and clear. And Michelle, thank you for remembering me as a good student. I appreciate that. So again, it's going to be truly an honor to work with all of you and to have relationships with all of you. And I think collectively we can move the ball forward. So thank you all very much.
Well, thank you, Darren. For myself, I was able to attend the MJC Foundation Social at the McHenry Museum, which was wonderful. Special board meeting last week, agenda review, policy and procedures meeting. Unless there's anything else, we'll adjourn this meeting. I'm going to give the board till 8 o'clock to socialize, and at 8 o'clock, you need to report back to the closed session room so we can finish our deliberations. So at this point, our meeting is adjourned.